Hello everyone, this is Yoel again from Hebrew in Israel, another video for today. Today I want to talk about a kind of a taboo subject in the Jewish world, which it happens to be the name of God. Probably most of you know about this subject because it's become very common in different circles to actually vocalize the name of God with different vocalizations, and it's not going to be the topic of this video because the issue of how to vocalize the name of God is a bit more complex than what people think. But the real questions I want to address here is A, why is the name of God avoided in Jewish circles? And B, is the name of God being hidden in Jewish circles? Because I get asked about this, why don't Jews know the name of God? Well, I'll explain and then you understand exactly what happens. So first of all, why isn't the name of God vocalized? Well, first of all, um, this might have to do a bit with culture, a bit with other things that went on around the world back then in the Second Temple period, because we know as a fact in the First Temple period, people did vocalize the name of God with vowel points, with all the letters. If it was the vav was a wa or va or whatever it might have been, or is the last hey vocalized or not, is not really the subject. But the point is that people did vocalize the name of God. Okay? In the Second Temple period, there was some kind of a change. Now, some people claim it had to do with persecution. The Romans forbade, the Greeks forbade. Some people say that there was some kind of a connection to people use the name of God for witchcraft. There are different opinions. But in any case, we do find at one stage a ban on using the name from rabbinic sources. But we have to remember that this might have been connected to some kind of a tradition that developed from something earlier that had nothing to do with Torah, it had to do with someone persecuting the Jews. So in any case, we do find certain rabbis, or at least one, that insisted that he can continue proclaiming the name. And he did this and was executed by the Romans. So we find that there was some kind of a connection to the Roman practice or the Romans persecuting Jews. Now, besides that, there is some kind of a piece of information I discovered where it mentions that there was some Greek um, practice not to mention the names of their gods. But again, I haven't found anything concrete on this. But we do have one concrete thing, which is a Roman persecution. Now, it's very, very common in Jewish circles that when there's a certain situation, we create, how would I put this, create different ways of avoiding the problem. So, for example, decreeing that it's forbidden to proclaim the name might have been a way to cause people to avoid using the name so they actually don't get killed by the Romans. But the problem is in most traditional cultures, when something hangs around for a couple of decades or a century, it becomes law. And that's how certain Jewish traditions develop. So that's a kind of what some people call oral law because it's basically a law that's actually not written in the Torah. So it's another type of oral law. And oral law can be divided up into different categories. We might touch on that some other time. But it seems that the announcement or the decree passed down, which is mentioned in the Talmud in the Tractate of Sanhedrin in the name of Rabbi Akiva, that anyone who proclaims the name of God, anyone who vocalizes the name of God by its letters, can has no part in the world to come. But this doesn't mean that this actually started as a rabbinic ban. Not maybe it was actually something else. And again, there are different opinions on this. Now, a very interesting thing is that, for example, Samaritans and even Karaites, most traditional Karaites don't vocalize the name. And I've heard different arguments why. But it's very interesting that, for example, the Samaritans say Shama, which is Aramaic for Hashem, the name, instead of actually saying God's name, which is very, very interesting. But in any case, dealing with the second question, is the name of God actually hidden in Jewish circles? And the answer is no. It's not vocalized, but we know what the letters are. And even the whole issue of what kind of vocalization can exist is discussed here and there, but mostly in more of a Kabbalistic type of idea that the vowel points have some kind of a secret meaning. And when you position different vowel points, you come out with some other element or something. But in any case, when it comes to the vowel points, which are mentioned about 50 times in the Aleppo Codex, we actually see that um, this vowel point setting actually shows up over and over and over again inside regular Jewish books. And I've been asked about this. Do you see the vowel points in regular Jewish book? And the answer is yes. For example, if I just pick up a regular Chumash, okay, a Chumash, this happens to be the Chumash of Shmot, okay, and this is a regular Chumash you can find in any synagogue, and I randomly open, and the name of God shows up thousands of times in the text. And just as an example, we have the name of God here. Okay, I hope you can see this. And all the vowel points, the Shva, the Cholam, and the Kamatz, all there. So no one is hiding anything in the Jewish prints. You might find a print that has no vowel points for some reason. Some people replace it with something else because there have been occurrences where someone actually opened up and started reading what they saw, and they actually vocalized the name. But it doesn't mean that there's any avoidance of actually printing the name of God and putting it in different places. So that one has to be completely removed from people's minds, because I have been asked quite a few times, is the name of God being hidden in the Jewish world? And the answer is most definitely not. Regarding the vocalization, it's a bit more complex than just finding, for example, vocalization in Aleppo Codex, though it is one of the oldest vocalizations that exist. The question is, that's like, for example, from the, say, 8th or 7th century, but the question is, what did they actually hear on Mount Sinai? I mean, if we say that God spoke directly to everyone, he said at least the first two commandments, because there is an opinion that maybe only the first two and then the rest was Moses or everything. It really depends on different opinions. But the point is that they actually heard something very, very specific. And we know that vocalizations change throughout time. So the Aleppo Codex vocalization is structured over a certain tradition that passed down throughout the centuries, and it could be an original vocalization, but there are things that can be argued against that vocalization. Okay? So which vocalization, I have no idea. I have no way of knowing, and I don't think there's any way of reconstructing it. Okay, so I hope that this helps a little bit more and gets other people on the path of studying this. If anyone has any details that they might want to share about this subject, I'm glad to hear. You can put it down on the comments, or you can send me an email at Hebrew in Israel. It's one word, Hebrew in Israel at gmail.com. Or you can also interact on Facebook with the same, it has the same name, Hebrew in Israel. And if there are any researches you've seen, anything that might be interesting. And I'm not talking about, for example, Nehemiah's book, which I happen to have and actually proofread before it was printed. I was one of the people who had the privilege of proofreading it and having discussions with Nehemiah about this book. And I'm not talking about Keith Johnson's book, which I happen to have as well. I'm talking about maybe some linguistic research that was done in the academic world or something. If anyone has ever found anything like this, I'll gladly read it. Okay, so everyone have a great day.